Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Brian Tegmeyer. I'm the coordinator with the NHTSA's National 911 program. We're here today to do our 2023 training for our 2022 National 911 Profile Database and FCC data collection efforts. With me today is Jill Coogan and David Firth from the FCC, and Karen Liddick and Laura Barton from 911 Authority that support the program on our collection efforts. We're going to begin with a collection of training video that's been prepared for you that'll highlight what we need to do and capture today, and then we're going to end with a live Q&A session. Welcome to the annual training for the National 911 Profile Database. My name is Brian Tegmeyer. I'm the coordinator of the National 911 program. Along with the rest of the team, we will be providing you with the information you need to start your submission of your 2022 data to the National Profile Database. The value of this database is based on your submission of the data. We thank you for taking the time to complete this important task. I also want to thank our team that supports you in submitting the data, reviewing the responses, and compiling the data into the useful tool it has become. Today, we're also pleased to have Jill Coogan from the FCC to talk about their data collection effort and how the two data collections work together to allow you to collect what you need in a single request of your local entities. I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. During the webinar, attendees will stay on mute, but we will encourage you to submit your questions or comments using the chat feature, and we will then work to answer those questions at the end. If you experience technical issues, you can also use the chat feature for this assistance. The webinar will be recorded and posted for your viewing. In case you're not familiar with the database, it is a joint effort between the National 911 Program and NASNA, the National Association of State 911 Administrators. The data collection has always been based on two questions. What data would be helpful for you to collect, and what data would be feasible to collect? The National 911 Program collects and aggregates this data into a usable form so that it can be used by others and yourselves to inform and compare data from across the nation. In 2022, of the 56 eligible states, districts, and territories, we were pleased to have 50 states submit data along with our partners at the Department of Defense. Once data is submitted, it will be made available in the annual report on 911.gov. Also on 911.gov, we continue to show our graphical representation on the highlights of data that has been collected. These highlights include the total number of PSAPs, text to 911, governance structures between state 911 offices, PSAPs providing emergency medical dispatch, and training requirements across the nation. There is now 3 years of data being represented. Another purpose of the National 911 Profile Database is to show the transition and implementation of Next Generation 911. Information is collected that allows you to benchmark where your state is with regards to Next Generation 911 implementation. The 911 Profile Database assesses 56 data elements comprised of operations, finance, and the progression of Next Generation 911 at the state or county level. Your submission of state data helps provide the best picture of 911 systems across the nation. I'm going to now turn it over to Laura, who will provide you with the rest of the information you will need to complete your submission. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Laura. I'm going to be walking you through some of the 911 submission process. Let's talk a little about today's agenda. There's a lot we will be covering today to help make the data submission process as easy as possible. I'll be providing you with some background information on the profile database, as some of you might be new to it this year. I'll also review the data collection timeline for this year, then cover how to access the database, log in, view the database, and go over the database structure. I'll then hand it over to Karen for a live demo, and we'll wrap up today with a Q&A session. One important thing to note is the email address for any questions or comments about the profile database. You will see it at the bottom of your screen. It's 911database@redflashgroup.com. The 2023 data collection timeline. This is the time frame for this year's data collection. The survey will be open April 3rd to June 2nd. In that time frame, if you have any questions about any particular data element or question on the survey, the team is here and available to support you at any time. We are committed to working with you to accommodate the demands on your time, as well as the time of the local agencies you will be asking to receive data from. After the database closes on June 2nd, the team will spend a few months analyzing and validating the data and may follow up with individual states and territories on specific data questions. Then in December, the final National 911 report will be released. The report contains the most current and complete view of 911 data at the state and territory level. It is very important to note that due to contract limitations, there will be no extensions granted this year, and the database will close on June 2nd. Let's talk about accessing the database. Now we're going to look at the database homepage. This is where you will find reports and statistics. The address for this page is www.911.gov/project 911 profile database.html. So now we're going to look at logging in. You'll want to navigate to 911data.redflashgroup.com. Toggle to click to enter to get to the login page. If you submitted data last year, you'll be able to use the same credentials. If you're a new user, on the login page, click where it shows to register. Once you complete those fields, allow 24 to 48 hours to receive an email saying your registration has been approved. If you haven't received that email within 2 days, be sure to check your spam folder. You will also need to email 911database@redflashgroup.com and copy your state or territory's point of contact to verify they have given you permission to submit data this year. Viewing the database. A few tips on viewing the database. First thing you'll want to do is view it in full screen mode. And if you are inactive for 30 minutes, the system will automatically log you off. When you log back on, you will be taken to the first section with incomplete entries. The system will not allow you to do a final submit unless you have completed 100% of your entries. If you're looking at the map, as long as you are in data entry mode, in the system, your state will appear in yellow on the map. As soon as your submission is complete, your state will upgrade to show green. The database structure, it is structured into 10 sections with 56 data elements. If you need more information to understand a question, you can simply click on More Info to view further details. Be sure to click Save or Save and Continue as you make your way through the sections. To be able to save your work, all the questions on that page need to be answered. If you're unsure of an answer, you can click the unknown box, and that will allow you to continue to the next section and save your work. Submitting your data. After submitting a response to all of the questions, you will be taken to the final comments page. This page is completely optional, but it's an opportunity for you to provide any comments, information, or suggestions to accompany your submission. For example, if you're a little unsure of a response for a particular section, you can include a comment here so the project team can help to verify your data. Another example is this is where you would want to add a comment if there's a reason that your calls in question 1 don't add up to your call totals in questions 2 through 6. Once you click Save and Continue, you will be taken to the last page, which is the Overview Mark Complete page. Here you will see if there are any sections with missing responses. If there are, you click on the section page to go back to that page. You can always use the Navigate to Section bar, which is at the top of the screen, to jump between pages as well. You can click Print Preview to print a PDF of all of your responses before you submit. Then when you're ready to submit your data, check the bold box next to the bolded text at the bottom of your page and click Submit Data. Once you do so, you will not be able to make any further changes to your data unless you contact the project team. If you do find that you need to make changes to your data after you submit, just contact one of the project team and we'll be happy to assist you with that. The program reviews data as it's received. We may reach out to you to follow up on any clarifications so that we're able to standardize the data and keep it accurate. And now that I've taken you through the data submission process, I'm going to hand this over to Karen, and she's going to walk you through a live demo.
Hi, this is Karen. I'm pleased today to be able to share a live demonstration of the database with you. As Laura was talking about, this is the login page. If you have your credentials either from previous years or by submitting a request for this year, you can simply enter them here. It will be your official email and then your personal password. You'll click Login, and this will bring you to the page where you click Start Data Entry. This will bring you to the first page of the profile database, section number 1. The first section, which I'm going to explain, is an example of how to answer the question about the total number of 911 calls and types of calls in your state. For example, question number 1, enter the total number of 911 calls delivered to primary PSAPs in your state, even if it was not answered and no dispatch occurred. As you can see, if you have questions, and obviously some of the questions are a little more complicated than this one, you'll see further instructions below. To make this simple, we'll say that your state had 1 million 911 calls this year. Moving down, let's say wireline calls were 1,000. Wireless calls, 800,000. VoIP calls, 50,000. And MLTS calls, 50,000. At this point, all of these should add up to question number 1. At this point, I'm going to click Unknown for the text and then Save and Continue. Now you'll see here the sum of the calls does not equal the total number of calls. You can click OK or Cancel to make changes. Your data will be saved as you continue. Moving on to another section. You can go to any section in the database from the navigation bar on top. We're going to go to section 8. This is transition. I want to highlight the question number 41 because we've had questions about this in the past. It refers to Next-Gen 911 capable CHE and EZNets, and we had reworded this question a few years ago to make it more clear. We're simply asking for the number of primary PSAPs in your state that are connected to an EZNet and using the EZNet to perform location-based routing and call processing. You can see more information below the question, but in our example, we'll say that there are 12 primary PSAPs that are using the EZNet for call delivery. Another type of question that we have are 42 and 43. They ask for percentages. Above, we said we have 12 PSAPs in your state using an EZNet. What percentage of your population is served by those PSAPs? So we will say that that is 25. We ask that you use whole numbers here. You'll see that the system has a percent already built in. So we don't need decimals or percent signs, just whole numbers. Then 43 is the percentage of geographical area where the PSAPs are served by these capable service. So let's say that might be 50. Now we've completed this entire section. We save and continue. This will automatically take us to section 9. The last section that we want to show is section 10. This talks about the maturity levels. Here are the different maturity levels for the different categories. You'll want to pay attention to the instructions and definitions below each question because the maturity levels and their definitions vary for each category. The first question, question number 48, what level of maturity is your state in the category of governance? You can see here legacy, foundational, transitional, intermediate, and jurisdictional end state are all defined specific to governance. Please review these and determine which is the most applicable to your state, and then select it from the down arrow. We're just going to say legacy for that one. You can see as we move into each category, the next one is routing and location. And you would pick the maturity level that you are in that one. Number 50 is GIS data. Again, they are all specific to that category. So you complete that. And then at the bottom, hit save and continue. This is the final comments page that Laura had talked about previously. This is where you would enter comments for things such as why your 911 calls on question number 1 do not match the totals in questions 2 through 5. You might also want to add any information to explain anything else in the survey. Some resources that you may find very handy within the database can be found on the right-hand side. They are data definitions, user guide, and helpful videos. The data definitions is a separate document that includes all of the explanatory information you see in the info below each question. It also provides directions and helpful hints. If you need any assistance on any question, though, again, you're welcome to email the team. The user guide is a more technical document that explains how to log in, how to submit data, and we also have helpful videos. There's a video on how to log in. There's a video in section 10 and how to respond to the maturity level questions. As we go through this year's data collection, if you have any topic or question that you think would benefit from having a helpful video, please let us know. We're glad to create and put out any additional resources that will help you complete the survey. So next steps after today, we would ask that you as state administrator or your designee provide 1 to 2 individuals that will submit data for your state. Make sure that they have an active account created. Review the data definitions documents, the webinar, and any other resources that you need to help you prepare to respond to the survey. Again, please do not hesitate to reach out to the project team for any assistance that we can offer. While you're doing that, the National 911 program will be providing assistance to you as you need it. We'll continue to create resources and videos as needed based on your input. We want to make sure that we explain all of the data elements well and everyone is answering based on the same concepts. You will also be receiving weekly emails that will contain helpful tips and updates of the map showing participation level. Again, as a reminder, as the collection year can be confusing, this is the 2023 data collection year, but we are collecting 2022 data. As we receive the data, the team will review it to make sure that it is consistent and that we understand your submissions so that we can properly aggregate it into the progress report. You may receive a follow-up email or question. Please don't be alarmed. We're simply trying to understand the data. Now we will go into the live Q&A session.
Hi, I'm Jill Coogan, and I'm an attorney advisor with the FCC's Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. Today, I'm going to be talking about 911 fees and 911 fee diversion. First, we'll take a look at the FCC's annual 911 fee reports, including some tips on how to fill out the FCC's annual 911 questionnaire. Next, we'll discuss significant recent developments related to 911 fee diversion. This includes recent congressional legislation to address 911 fee diversion, new FCC rules on 911 fee diversion, and the work of a 911 strike force that issued a report to Congress with recommendations on how to stop fee diversion. Let's start with the FCC's annual 911 fee report. The New and Emerging Technologies 911 Improvement Act of 2008, also known as the Net 911 Act, requires the FCC to submit an annual report to Congress on collection and distribution of 911 and enhanced 911 fees and charges. Since our first 911 fee report in 2009, the FCC has issued 14 911 fee reports. A major focus of the FCC's annual 911 fee report is the issue of 911 fee diversion. In other words, each year, the FCC analyzes and reports to Congress on whether a state or other jurisdiction's 911 fees and charges are being used for any purpose other than to support 911. In addition to fee diversion analysis, the annual report includes state-by-state data on, for example, 911 call volumes, the number of PSAPs, 911 expenditure categories, implementation of next generation 911, and 911 cybersecurity expenditures. Let's turn back now to the specific issue of 911 fee diversion. One of the principal sources of funding for 911 is fees assessed by states on a per-line basis for phone service. Service providers typically collect these fees from consumers through their monthly subscriber bills, then remit the fees to the governmental authority assessing the fee. However, sometimes states and other jurisdictions divert these 911 fees and do not spend them on the intended 911 related purposes. When a state diverts the 911 fees it collects to a non-911 purpose, even if that other purpose is an important and worthwhile public safety purpose, the state is reducing the amount available for essential 911 services. For the FCC's annual 911 fee report to Congress, we analyze how each state has allocated and spent the 911 fees it collected during the year in question, and whether the state has diverted the 911 fees to non-911 related uses. If the state has diverted 911 fees, the FCC designates that state as a diverter for the relevant calendar year. The FCC issued its 14th annual 911 fee report in December 2022. You'll notice here at the bottom of the slide, we list the FCC webpage where you can view all the FCC's annual 911 fee reports and also each state's 911 questionnaire response for each year. Fee diversion is a significant problem in the United States. Each year, the FCC annual 911 fee report identifies a number of states as diverters, and a few states persist in the practice year after year. The 14th report found that in calendar year 2021, 3 states had diverted 911 fees: New York, New Jersey, and Nevada. All 3 of these states were also designated as diverters for calendar year 2020 and in multiple prior years. Meanwhile, the 14th report found that 2 states that had been designated as diverters the prior year for the 13th report, New Mexico and West Virginia, were no longer diverters in calendar year 2021. The 14th annual report found that in calendar year 2021, the 3 diverting states diverted a total of approximately $198.4 million, or approximately 5.68% of all 911 fees collected by all states and jurisdictions in 2021. From 2012 to 2021, states and jurisdictions diverted approximately $1.88 billion in fees collected for 911 and E911. If you look now at the chart on this slide, showing a summary of some data from the FCC's annual fee reports from 2016 to 2022, you can see some highlights of our findings. Each report covers the prior calendar year. So, for example, our 14th report in 2022 covered states' 911 activity in calendar year 2021. One thing to note is that the number of diverting states has gone down over the years. For example, for the 2016 report, 9 states were designated as 911 fee diverters, and in the most recent 2022 report covering calendar year 2021, 3 states diverted. I'll give you a couple of moments to look at the slide. Now let's take a look at FCC data collection for the annual 911 fee reports and some tips for completing the FCC's annual 911 fee questionnaire. Each year, the FCC sends out a detailed form to 56 U.S. states and jurisdictions to collect 911 fee data for the prior calendar year. Here are some tips for filling out the annual questionnaire. These tips focus on some common issues. First, please use the word fillable form questionnaire that we provide. This allows us to automatically and efficiently import the data into our system. Please do not try to alter the form or turn it into a PDF. When states do this, we have to ask them to resubmit on the appropriate word fillable form. Also, many states submit the appropriate word form, but also submit a PDF copy of the same document. There is no need to include a PDF copy, and we prefer that states not do so, as this requires us to compare the two to make sure they're identical. Next, only report calendar year data, not fiscal year data. Also, when the questionnaire asks for a numerical response, such as the total number of primary PSAPs or the cost to provide 911 service, please provide only a numerical response or a short non-numerical response such as unknown, none, or N/A. Don't include any narrative explanation or qualifier such as approximately $4 million. Instead, put that in the related addendum section box on the form. It's fine to use dollar or percentage signs, decimal points, and thousand separator commas in numeric responses. However, to facilitate the Bureau's calculations for the annual fee report, please avoid stray characters such as asterisks, parentheses, or brackets in your numeric responses. And here are two big tips. First, states should submit a single questionnaire form for the entire state, not multiple FCC questionnaire forms completed by local jurisdictions. For example, in prior years, one state submitted individual FCC questionnaires filled out by some of its counties, saying that only those counties had replied to its request for data. The state did not consolidate them into a single questionnaire response form for the state as a whole. The state should have consolidated the data in a single questionnaire form for the state, using sums and averages as appropriate, and adding an explanation in the relevant addendum sections if necessary. Second, states should include all requested data on the state questionnaire form itself, not just attach or refer to supplemental materials that may possibly contain some requested data somewhere within them. For example, one state in the past submitted a questionnaire form with multiple responses that just said, "See attached spreadsheet." The state attached a long and detailed county-by-county Excel spreadsheet without appropriate consolidation of data for the state as a whole on the questionnaire itself. Another state in the past submitted a detailed supplemental letter containing some requested information that was not on the form itself. States may submit supplemental materials as long as the questionnaire form itself contains all requested data. And now, here's an update on significant recent developments on 911 fee diversion issues. At the end of 2020, Congress enacted legislation to address 911 fee diversion. In the Don't Break Up the T-Band Act of 2020, which is Section 902 in Division FF, Title IX of the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2021, Congress issued new mandates related to preventing 911 fee diversion. Section 902 directed the FCC to do two things. Number one, issue new regulations on 911 fee diversion. And number two, create a new strike force to study and issue a report on 911 fee diversion. The FCC has completed both these congressional mandates. First, we'll discuss the requirement for new FCC regulations. Section 902C required the FCC to, within 180 days, in other words, by June 25, 2021, issue final rules designating purposes and functions for which the obligation or expenditure of 911 fees or charges by any state or taxing jurisdiction authorized to impose such a fee or charge is acceptable. In June 2021, the Commission issued a report and order with rules on 911 fee diversion. You can view the report and order at the address shown at the top of this slide. The rules became effective on October 18, 2021. Among other provisions, the new rules define acceptable types of 911 fee expenditures and those that would constitute 911 fee diversion with illustrative examples of each. Under the rules, acceptable expenditures for purposes of Section 902 include, but are not limited to, PSAP operating, personnel, and administrative costs, pre-arrival instructions, emergency notification systems, next generation 911, and cybersecurity. Unacceptable expenditures include, but are not limited to, transfer of 911 fees to a general fund or other fund for non-911 purposes, using 911 fees to construct non-public safety communications networks, such as commercial cellular networks, and using 911 fees to pay for public safety equipment or infrastructure that does not, quote, directly support providing 911 services. The rules also allow states and taxing jurisdictions to petition the FCC for further clarity on whether other types of 911 expenditures are acceptable or unacceptable. In addition, the rules provide a voluntary safe harbor option for multi-purpose public safety fees that include support for 911 services, provided certain requirements are met, such as segregating and not commingling the 911 portion of such fees after collection. The new 911 fee diversion rules can be viewed at 47 CFR sections 9.21 to 9.26. The Commission received 2 petitions for reconsideration of its June 2021 fee diversion report and order. One is from the Boulder Regional Emergency Telephone Service Authority, BRETSA, and the other is from a group of 16 Colorado emergency telephone service entities. These 2 petitions are currently under consideration by the Commission. Turning now to the second major congressional mandate for the FCC, Section 902D required the FCC to establish the Ending 911 Fee Diversion Now Strike Force. The statute directed the 911 Strike Force to study and report to Congress by September 23, 2021, on how the federal government can most expeditiously end diversion by a state or taxing jurisdiction of 911 fees or charges. As required by Section 902, the Strike Force membership was comprised of state and federal officials, state 911 administrators, public safety organizations, consumer groups, and organizations representing 911 professionals. The 911 Strike Force submitted its report and recommendations to Congress on September 23, 2021. The report can be viewed at the address at the bottom of the slide. And finally, here are 2 additional significant provisions put in place by Section 902. Section 902 prohibits any state or taxing jurisdiction identified as a fee diverter in the Commission's annual 911 fee report from participating or sending a representative to serve on any committee, panel, or council established to advise FirstNet, or on any advisory committee established by the Commission. And Section 902 requires states and taxing jurisdictions that obtain federal grant funding under Section 158 of the NTIA Organization Act, 47 USC 942, to participate in the Commission's annual data collection. Thank you for the opportunity to update you today on 911 fee developments. We look forward to seeing your annual data submissions this year. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you for watching that informative video. We are happy to take live questions now. You can place those questions into the chat dialog box, and we will get them to the correct person to answer. Not seeing any questions yet. We'll give it a couple minutes. I think the most important thing that I want to highlight while we're waiting for questions, for those of you that have participated this in the past, is that from the National 911 program, we have a hard stop that we're going to really live up to this year, which is that June 2nd deadline. I know many of you are used to that deadline being extended. We do not anticipate the extension of the deadline this year, so we're going to work to make sure you get your submissions in by the deadline, and that's because we have a shorter time to review the material and to get it out into our final report. Although hopefully that means that our final report will be published earlier this year as well. Still not seeing any questions in the chat. I will also say that this recording of this entire session will be available on 911.gov. for your review in the future as you're going through this. So without any questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully you found this informative, and we appreciate you taking the time to complete our data collection with the National 911 program and the FCC's data collection efforts. These are important for the information for 911. Thank you.